5:17 on TSN 690. Welcome back to Game Points. I am your host, Matthew Ross. We are here until 8 o'clock this evening. So much more to come here on the program. And that's not a way of saying to overlook our current guest, because we have to bring him in right now. He is the editor-in-chief of the fourthperiod.com, and he's monitoring the trade winds as they currently blow. It is Dave Pagnotta. What's up, bud?
Yeah, just trying to get my bearings, prepare for what's going to be a ridiculous 3 days coming up.
You sound depressed. What's going on?
Dude, I'm tired, man. I am I'm there's so much activity going on. I'm tired now. I usually don't get tired till maybe 2 days before the deadline. There's a stupid amount of activity going on.
That should be your tweet right now. There's a stupid amount of activity going on.
Yeah.
That's the best way to promote the fourthperiod.com. By the way, currently in that outdoor classic or heritage or pond hockey, whatever you want to call it, it's 2-2 right now between Ottawa and Vancouver, just beginning or early stages of the second period. Hey, Dave, I want to get your thoughts on, before we get to some trade talk here. We were just talking about the fact that my parents brought over a whole bunch of stuff that they cleaned out of their house, original Nintendo and Super Nintendo. So I've been reminiscing, playing a couple of games before I got here. Yeah. You're a few years younger than me, so I don't know if you had a chance to play on original Nintendo the two hockey games, Ice Hockey and Blades of Steel.
The hockey games I didn't. I had the original Nintendo.
Okay. I played. I still have Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, nice. Super Tecmo Bowl.
See, I didn't get into the NHL video game stuff until I got Super Nintendo.
Okay.
And then it got to the point where I was. You can make your own players.
Yeah.
And they could all be like rated 99.
Yeah.
And then I would remake some of the current players that I just didn't agree with their ratings.
Already back then you were analyzing. I like it.
Oh, yeah. My whole team was filled with like guys. And then, I'd be like, okay, well, this guy's like a 97. But my team was stacked with nobodies, but just stacked. And I was cleaning house like 80-4.
See, I don't like that. It's kind of boring. But all right. Let's talk some hockey here on the program. Your thoughts on the Ryan Miller-Halak trade?
I like the deal for I like the deal for both sides, and I like it. I really like it for St. Louis. Aside from them getting Ryan Miller, I really like the fact that they got Steve Ott as well. He's somebody that fits perfectly within that team, within that organization, and within the Western Conference. I really, really like that acquisition. Of course, Ryan Miller's a top-tier goaltender, better than Euro Halak, better than Brian Elliott. So you get an upgrade in goal, and you get a lot of grit and sandpaper in Steve Ott and leadership as well. And I really like the deal for the Blues, but at the same time, I like what Buffalo acquired because it's pretty much what they wanted. Now, Euro Halak is going to get traded again. That's pretty much a foregone conclusion. They're just determining which team he's going to end up on. Could be Minnesota, could be Washington, could be another team that kind of steps up. But Euro Halak will not play for the Buffalo Sabres. He's going to get traded at some point. Could happen tomorrow.
So if that's the case, Dave, sorry to cut you off, but Halak, Miller, they're both kind of in the same contract situation in terms of next year free agents. Is he that much of an upgrade, Miller, over Halak for you?
Yeah, he is. I think so. I think, especially based on the performance this season of Ryan Miller. Now, Euro Halak has been solid as well when he's healthy. But I just think Ryan Miller's in a different class of goaltender versus that of Euro Halak, and I think it's a really good upgrade. When you're going up against some of the top tier teams in the Western Conference, and you can rely on a world class goalie like Ryan Miller, it makes things a little bit easier. That's not to discredit Euro Halak at all, but it's just a different kind of goalie, and he's got that edge over Halak.
On Tuesday night, we were using the fourthperiod.com's top free agents article to talk about some of these trades and et cetera. And obviously, we related to the players that you listed or your guys listed the Habs next to as being in the mix. Wanted to get your, I guess, maybe update on some of those players vis-a-vis the Habs. So I see you have Alexander Edler, and some of the teams interested, you have the Habs there.
Yeah, well, Alex Edler is a guy who is available, although he's interesting because in the last 24 hours, the marketplace has shifted on Alex Edler. And some teams are a little confused as to why that is for them because they feel they have enough, the right pieces to make something happen. But some teams have basically been told that he isn't available, while other teams have been told he is. So I guess Edler is only available to certain teams based on what the Canucks are looking for. But the Canadians are still apparently in that mix and involved in trying to acquire him. Now, nothing's imminent. Nothing's, it's not happening tonight by any stretch. But the Canadians expressed interest in the summer. They tried to work something out around the draft in June. Didn't happen. Tampa and Detroit were still in the mix. And I know that they're, still kind of knocking on the door a little bit to see if they can squeeze something out of Vancouver this season.
All right, now, Dave, I'm going to mention a guy, same thing. You have Habs listed amongst the other teams. There's 6 teams that you guys have as possible fits for him. I have no idea why this team would want to get rid of this player. I'm salivating in a platonic way just looking at him on your list. I can't for the life of me understand how this is even possible, but I don't care what it costs. And if I'm the Canadians, I don't care what it costs. I do whatever I can to make this happen because he's exactly what they need. Please tell me that there's a chance that they're still in on the Evander Kane sweepstakes.
Yeah, that's been going on also since the draft. The Bergevin and Kevin Cheveldayoff have been kind of going back and forth since last June about Evander Kane. We all know the Canadians want to make a move, and they've kicked the tires on some pending free agents, but that's not really what Bergevin wants to do. He's asked about Matt Molson, he's asked about a few other guys, but he's not going to give up a premium to get a rental player. A guy like Evander Kane, who is available for a hockey trade, which means talent for talent, he wants him. That's exactly the type of player the Canadians want to add to this roster. They're not going to trade Max Pacioretty for him. They want to add another guy that can put the puck in the net, and Evander Kane's one guy. Now, the price is steep. It's a young roster player. You're talking about a really good prospect, or basically on the verge of being an NHL player. Another kid and potentially a draft pick associated with it. So it's a very hefty price. Now, whether the Canadians want to give up a guy like Lars Eller or even Brendan Gallagher remains, obviously to be seen.
Yes. Cheveldayoff should be fired if he makes this trade. The owner of the Jets should fire him before he... Why in the world would the Jets do that? How do you replace a power forward? It boggles my mind.
Well,
You're the Jets owner, Dave. I know there's, off-field stuff, whatever. If you're the Jets owner and your team is in Winnipeg where it's hard enough to attract people, why would you even tolerate your GM doing this?
If I can get enough talent for him, you do it. You do it because I don't see him being there long-term. I don't see Evander Kane being a long-term guy for the Winnipeg
Dave, nobody's in Winnipeg long-term unless they're from Winnipeg. Come on. You got a 22-year-old. He's in Winnipeg. You got him already. I don't care if he got lost on the way to Vancouver. He's in Winnipeg. What? How do you let him go? It's crazy to me.
You got to bite the bullet on some guys. Zach Bogosian's another guy that would welcome a trade. He hasn't demanded, and Evander Kane hasn't demanded a trade either. But he would welcome it. And there's just plenty of talk that, if they can squeeze out enough talent for Evander Kane, they will do it. Again, this isn't happening tomorrow, and it doesn't mean it's going to happen by the trade deadline. This is something that's probably going to pick up over the summer. I would not be surprised at all if Evander Kane is traded in and around the draft this June in Philadelphia.
And again, you got a few years left on a contract, pretty reasonable cap hit. I mean, that's wow. I mean, whatever it freaking takes if you're the Canadians who've been looking for a guy like that for a long time. All right, Dave, before we let you go, we got to squeeze in one more. Andrei Markov, a lot of heat around this guy. Will the Canadians move him? In my mind, I hope so. You saw the good of him last night in a giveaway. You saw, or rather, the bad of him. You saw the good, obviously, in the overtime pass. Will they move him? And, will they move him? Let's just get to it.
A few weeks ago, I would have said no chance. I'm sitting at 50-50 right now. They've got two offers on the table, two significant offers on the table for Andrei Markov, I'm told. Both Western Conference teams. As of this morning, before the team flew out to Los Angeles, it wasn't going to happen right away, so it wasn't imminent. But the Canadians are considering it. They still want to get him signed. They want to get him locked up to an extension. They're willing to do 2 years on an extension. They don't want to go past 2 years, and that's a bit of a stretch. They really wanted to do this 1 year at a time, but they're willing to do 2 years from what I'm told. The ball's kind of in Markov's court right now.
And you're the Habs. What do you do?
Well, I know parameters of only one offer, so I would try to figure out what the other one is. I can tell you the offer that they got is from one of the teams is pretty solid. I would probably make that move, but the Canadians, like I said, have relayed the message that they're willing to go to 2 years, so they're waiting on Markov to figure out what he wants to do.
That's fair. That's a fair. So obviously the hometown discount's going to play a role in this, perhaps.
It will, and the offer that I'm aware of is it's a young forward, an NHL forward, a young defenseman who's quasi-prospect, so he's right on that cusp of making an NHL team, being a regular on an NHL team, and a high draft pick, not a first-round pick.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable. TheFourthPeriod.com is the website to monitor throughout the trade deadline. And, of course, follow Dave on Twitter for nuggets such as these. TheFourthPeriod on Twitter.com. Dave, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Take it easy, buddy.
All right, take care. There you go. That was Dave Pagnotta from TheFourthPeriod.com. Things that make you go, We'll discuss whether or not the Habs should trade Markov. I'd love to hear from you as well. 514-790-1690. Based on what Dave Pagnotta just said, would you make a move and trade Andrei Markov or anybody else? Call us, email us, tweet us, whatever the communication methods. We will be back.
You're killing it.